Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the Environmental Council of Rhode Island and to all of you for being here. And I want to answer the question very directly. Absolutely, the governor plays an essential role, and I intend to lead this state and make this state a real model for our efforts to combat climate change. And I want to, this morning, just take a couple of minutes to lay out why and how I'm going to go about doing that. And one of the first reasons why, I think Professor King alluded to obliquely, but I want to make it very clear, and that is that science is under assault right now in America. Republicans at the national level, and apparently also at the local level, don't accept that global climate change is a challenge. I think that's why we know that they aren't here this morning. Their platform is driven, their party platform is driven by politics. The Republican Party's patrons are big oil companies, big coal companies, and they rely on carbon-emitting fuels for maximum profits. And as long as the Republican Party is standing in the way of the leadership of Senator Whitehouse, Rhode Island, President Obama, and others in Washington, it is absolutely essential that we have a governor here in Rhode Island who is leading the way, and I want to be that leader for you. It's something that I saw as a member of the Coast Guard, where I witnessed how our nation is an international leader in crisis response, in disaster, recovery, and in resiliency. Now, I really don't think that there is a decision point between the environment and the economy. I think that Rhode Island's natural strengths position us, if we choose, to be a national leader in the industry that will respond to climate change. I don't think that this is something that should be just one specific policy, an environmental policy. I think this is about how we approach problems. It should be part of our economic approaches, part of our infrastructure approaches, part of everything we do. And yesterday, when I released my economic plan, I talked about, in specific terms, how we can leverage our natural environment, including our growing local agricultural sector, which was one of the few areas to grow during the recession, to returning our focus in the ocean state to the ocean and to the maritime trades that surround us. The bottom line is that when I'm governor, I'm going to work to make Rhode Island the national center for innovation in the green economy and disaster resiliency. I intend to do that by directing the Rhode Island Department of Transportation to develop a green infrastructure program for state work projects and to support current DEM efforts to encourage low-impact design techniques for stormwater management. As governor, I will direct DOT and DEM to implement the green infrastructure program for state public works. I will promote municipal efforts to adopt green infrastructure. And across the board, I will champion climate change adaptation efforts. But the bottom line also is that I don't think that it's all about creating entirely new proposals. I think there are a lot of really great things that are happening. And a lot of the people who are leading those efforts are in this room right now. And I want to partner with you to build on some of the great ideas that we already have, to capitalize on existing funding sources, such as the Regional Gas House Initiative, such as the Renewable Energy Fund. And I want to lay out some very specific things that I absolutely will do as governor. Number one, I will implement Executive Order 1401, establishing the Rhode Island Climate Change Council. Number two, I will support and lead initiatives such as the Beach Special Area Management Program, the SAM, to provide science-backed policies and planning tools to improve the state's resilience. Number three, I will protect the strong legal foundation for the state's energy programs. These include the Rhode Island Energy Resources Act, the Distributed Generation Program, the Renewable Energy Standard, and long-term contracting. Number four, I will support the ongoing efforts of so many agencies, many of whom are represented here today, including the Rhode Island Public Energy Partnership, Commerce RI, which I think needs to continue to move in this direction, Energy Efficiency and Resources Management Council, and the Renewable Energy Coordinating Board. Number five, I will support the Rhode Island Public Energy Partnership and implement what we need to do is implement energy efficiency measures in approximately 100 facilities to attain an average of 20% energy reduction. I will lead this implementation of the state energy plan, and I will do something entirely which I believe that has already been called for but has not yet been done. I will direct the Office of Energy Resources to establish an energy rating and labeling program for existing buildings in Rhode Island to increase investments in energy efficiency. And number 8, I encourage all of us in this room to strongly support the Clean Water, Open Space, and Healthy Communities Bond question number 4 on the November 2014 ballot. The bottom line is that to do any of these things, whether it's changing how we approach including in the environment in our state planning, or other core issues that I know we all care deeply about, like raising the minimum wage and pay equity for all people in the state, education and infrastructure. If we want to do any of those things, we have to change how government works in the state. For too long, it has been about who you know rather than what you know. For too long, people see politics as usual and cynicism. For too long, people have felt not been part of the process. And that's why I've taken a pledge not to accept contributions from PACs or from state lobbyists. It's why, to promote transparency, I've disclosed 5 years of tax returns to the Providence Journal. It's why I'm calling on the General Assembly to have oversight, to be overseen by the Ethics Commission. Across all of these things, that's the type of change that we need if we're going to really make the environmental changes that we have to in this state. So for those reasons, I ask for your support, and I look forward to the discussion today.
Thank you, Mr. Pell. You mentioned in your answer about the state's agricultural sector, and it is growing, but still only about 1 to 2% of the food consumed in Rhode Island is actually produced or grown here. So how would you do to better support local food production in Rhode Island?
Absolutely. There are a couple of things that I will do. Number one, we have a great community of farmers markets in this state, and many of them are sourced by local agricultural sources, aquaculture and agriculture. I want to make our farmers markets, all of our farmers markets across the state accessible to SNAP benefits. Number two, I want to make sure that when the state is purchasing foods, that we have a threshold that is being purchased locally. We don't currently have a threshold. There are discussions about doing this. I know that we've recently entered into a new contract, but I absolutely support setting a clear threshold of up to 30% of agricultural products that we would begin buying from our local producers. And then it's about incorporating our agricultural sector into the economic development of the state. I think we've seen incredible work by the state's nurseries and landscapers to really start talking about how they can be part of the resilient economy, how they can be part of designing our built environment in the state. I think if we bring people together to tackle these cross-cutting issues that often fall between the seams of the silos of government and organization, that we will really be able to make a change and support our local agriculture.
Another question, you had mentioned how difficult it will be, the political will to get stuff done. If you were governor, how would you deal with climate change? How would you require municipalities to make hard decisions, like free from the coast, or what kind of stick and carrot methods would you use to get them to make hard decisions? It's not going to be easy.
Well, all of our future is in this together. And I think we actually already see, for example, the city of Newport really leading the way and talking about how they're going to invest in this. It's about bringing people together, including the Navy and the federal government, the resources of the Department of Homeland Security, as well as the local government, as well as the state government. It's, like you said, it's not going to be easy. But if we align the resources of the multiple levels of government, federal, state, local, so that we have sticks and carrots, we actually can get there. And that's the type of experience that I bring from my time in Washington to work across all these different partners to move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Pell.